Hello, my name is Wyatt, and this is Cycle 6 of DSU's Security Tool Development course in summer 2025. I'm continuing the work on my tool, bit.ly Typos. So as a quick review for anyone who hasn't seen my previous videos, essentially what I'm concerned about is URL shortener typo squatting. So a company, such as CVS, sends out a URL shortener link, such as this one, bit.ly/extracarehealth, and the user is intended to go to this site to enroll in their extra care service. Unfortunately, if a user doesn't remember this exact URL, then they could type something else. Like they could omit the E, or they could use a capital E in extra care health. Critically, for bit.ly and other URL shortening services, this is different than the original URL that CVS intended. And anyone can go and register these typoed variants of this link, leading the user to other unintended destinations, such as a tech support scam, which I previously reported. So my tool is designed to register these typos before bad actors can get to them. In Cycle 2, I implemented support for bit.ly and skipped, doubled, reversed letters, or missed keys. In Cycle 4, I added support for tinyURL and case modification based on feedback from my classmates. I also began work on a redirecting web page that would direct users through my site and ask them to potentially donate to this service so that I can pay for more API calls to help prevent others from getting scammed through typo squatting in URL shorteners. And in Cycle 6, I implemented a confusable character generator, again based on feedback from my classmates, and I also added regional keyboard layouts for the missed keys generator. I also finished the web page redirects and integrated it into my program. So the generators I have right now are the original 4, skipped letters, doubled letters, reversed letters, and, well, it wasn't an original, but case modification. So I had original 3, and then I had 1 more based on the feedback from the last cycle. This cycle, I've added confusable character replacement. So it swaps commonly mistaken English characters and letters, such as the commonly confused capital I, lowercase l, number 1, and then capital O and the number 0, among other things. For my generators, I've also modified the missed keys generator to add 2 alternative keyboard layouts, mostly for support for Europe. So these would be Quartz and Azerty. These are set on the startup of the program, and they use the same kind of adjacency dictionaries that the QWERTY keyboard layout uses, and that's just me manually typing every adjacent key to the key that I'm focused on into a dictionary in Python. There are a couple other regional layouts used in Europe, but they are far too varied and nuanced for me to effectively implement all of them. But these 3 should get most commonly US, Canada, and then the majority of Europe. I'm open to adding other keyboard layouts as well, provided that bit.ly and tinyURL also support, let's say, other languages. For redirects, essentially this portion of my code follows a short link to determine the destination, so where the short link goes, and the name of the web page at that destination. Then it creates a web page based on my site and sort of fills in the blanks with the page name, the short link, and then redirects them to it after 5 seconds. But it's passing them through my site so that I can add this little message saying, hey, you've made a typo, and if you want to help me prevent more people from making typos, please donate to this service, since bit.ly is running me about $30 a month. So the control flow here would be a user makes a typo, such as CSC-842 e-ample, they'll omit the X, which directs to my site based on the web page that was generated, which then displays the message and directs them back to the intended site. The main ideas for my work have not changed. Public URL shorteners are dangerous since scammers can typo squat on these types of links. Of course, I can't get every single typo that a user may make, but based on my research and the references you'll see, it should get the most common typos, and I should be getting even more common typos thanks to the help of my classmates. If you are a company, it's best to use a custom URL shortener domain. Both Bitly and tinyURL support using custom domains in their tools. And Microsoft is probably the best example of this with aka.ms. This prevents anyone else from controlling that domain or registering typos, registering URL shortener links on that domain, which prevents users from making typos and alternatively being redirected somewhere else. Given that Bitly is currently costing me $30 a month, that would be completely affordable for a large company to pay for, and I just attribute this to a lack of general awareness around URL shortener security. This is probably still okay to do with personal things, so using Bitly or tinyURL publicly for personal things that have no reason to collect personal information, usernames, addresses, anything like that. For future work, unfortunately I can no longer continue working on this project and I have to switch to a new one, but I do intend to do a rewrite of the code in using Python classes. This program, the foundation of it began before I knew how to use Python classes several years ago, and this would just improve the code reuse among my program and make it a little cleaner and faster. These are my resources, and now we will get into the demo. So on my left side here, I have my short link typo generator, and on the right side here, I have my web page creation. So if we run my program, I'm using it in the interactive mode for this video. If you want to see the command line interface, you can look at the cycle 4 video. And I'm going to enter a short link that I want to create typos for. That is tinyurl.com/CSC-842 example. And I've registered this URL to simply go to the example domain. And I'm going to say I want to create the most common typos. The most common typos includes missed keys, so it's going to ask me which keyboard layout I want to use, and I'm going to leave it blank because I still want to use QWERTY. And I do want to preview the typos, which is a default option, so I'm just going to hit enter. And now you can see the HTML has been saved as example domain.html, and the URL that's going to redirect to is whitetower.com/typos/example domain. So you should be able to see this in, perhaps it hasn't refreshed yet. Okay. Yeah, so it just hasn't refreshed. We see the example domain here created a minute ago, so not sure why it's not showing up in the web of my PyCharm. Anyway, this is the code. It'll look a bit better when I put it into my site, but essentially what I've done is I've taken, yeah, there it's showed up now. I've taken this example domain code that it's generated for me, and I've placed it into my website. So this is the Git repo for my website, and here it is, and it is at the path that my my typo generator has specified. So this site should now be available. If I go to my site, you can see that I have built it with this URL. So if I go to that link, it will say redirecting to example domain, and we just need to wait 5 seconds to the example domain. So the final piece in this puzzle is to continue running the URL, or the tinyURL typo generator, to redirect any possible typos to that example domain site. So it says this is going to use 86 tinyURL API calls. I might run out of API calls by running this, but we're going to give it a shot, and I'll just take what I can get. We can see the program is running, generating all the possible typos. And I should just be able to grab any one of these. So the top one here will work. Copy that. Bring it over, bring it to URL. It's redirected to my site saying you made a typo, and should pop us back over to the example domain. And there you have it. That is my project for Cycle 6. Thank you.